Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Legal Legends Podcast. I have another legal legend with me today. His name is Robert Solomon. He is the co-founder and owner of Saban and Solomon, located in Plantation. They also have an office in Miami. They're doing huge stuff at Saban and Solomon. I'm happy to bring on Rob. Here I got Rob with me. Welcome aboard, Robert Solomon, co-founder and owner of Saban Solomon. I appreciate you jumping on with me. We are going to dig in on Rob and his background and the amazing things that he's been doing for his clients, but also tell you the story of how he got here, because that's why we're here. We want to know the why for the attorneys in this industry. Why did you get to PI? How did it happen? Rob, tell us about, how you ended up where you are right now. And I'm going to go a lot deeper than this, but a broad synopsis.
So I come from a family of, my parents were blue collar. Neither went to college. In theory, you say, I want to be a lawyer. It sounds great. You're going to make a lot of money, but there's a lot of work to get there. So I always said I wanted to be a lawyer, but I wasn't really the best of students, I guess, to say the least. And I don't know. My mom got sick. I don't know. She got cancer. I think that was maybe a turning point. And I just said, I got to just be the best version of me. So I don't know if I got hit in the head, but I decided, look, I want to go to law school. The problem was I didn't have a grade. So I had to do a program at Nova called Aample, which was you had to be in the top, I think, like 90% to get into the school. And somehow, from the grace of God, I got in. And then once I got in, I said, look, if I'm paying for this, which I funded my own education, I said, I'm turning this into something. So I met my partner in law school, and we took jobs for a little time after law school, and then boom, the rest is history. And we've been grinding, helping people ever since. So that's the story of me. I'm like every day, like played sports, just wasn't a good student, and I decided to get serious. So that's my story.
So you're born in Jersey. How long? When did you move down here? What was your road down here?
I came when I was a senior in college at Towson University. The summer program for Aample had started, so I was doing my senior year classes while I was doing Aample. Once I got the acceptance from Aample, I came down here in 06, and I've been in South Florida ever since. Excuse me, 03. Sorry, I came down here in 03. I graduated law school in 06, and never left.
And for people who don't know, the Aample program I know exists in a number of law schools around the country, but it's really designed to fail, from what I've been told. Because
Nova got rid of it. Nova got rid of it.
They did.
Yeah.
Did they really?
And
I didn't know that.
Yep. And a lot of people like me, Eric Rosen, who we all know, and we're all Aample people. And for me, it prepared me. I thought I was way more prepared for law school than the people who were much smarter than me and tested better than me. We knew how to write legal writing. You learned it. So it was an amazing thing. We were all disappointed when they got rid of it, because I think if I didn't have that opportunity, I wouldn't be a lawyer. I mean, I didn't get accepted anywhere else. So it was that or nothing.
Yeah, because I actually, full disclosure, I did take the LSAT. I did get accepted to the Aample program. I had a week to decide. And at the time, I didn't have $6,000 to pay for it, because they don't do financial aid for it. So I continued in grad school, but I was told by many people, like, this is only a few people will pass, because you get 2 classes, it's hardcore, and you will be more prepared than the people that are coming in the fall. So what was that experience like in the Aample program?
So
that's a grind.
So for me to pay for that, because my parents didn't have that kind of money. We were sort of, I was student loans in college, student loans in law school. So I said to myself, if I'm paying for this, I'm not failing. I mean, I literally put all my eggs in that basket. And I remember when I got into Aample, and when Nova accepted me, I remember sitting at orientation, and I will always remember to this day that the dean got up in front of the whole place and he said, look to your left, look to your right. One of you won't be here in 3 years. And it actually turned out to be pretty true. They were like dropping like flies the first year. And I was like, look, Nova's historically, the kids that go there come from money. I hate to say it. There are some kids like in my situation that didn't come from money. But when you're funding your education, man, there's something that puts a fire under your ass. Excuse my language, but I was like, I'm not failing, not failing. And it wasn't, that's how I operate. The failure is not an option.
So yeah, when you look at, I mean, a lot of people going to college, their parents are paying for college, and then you screw around, and now you got to come out of your own pocket. And it's like, oh, okay, this is my money now. And a lot of young people, I mean, heck, I can say I'm a victim of it myself and my screw ups in my undergraduate career. And then when I realized I made too many mistakes, it was like, okay, I'm paying for this out of my own pocket. I I can't screw this up, like and we take advantage. I took advantage of the gifts that I had, or took them for granted per se, and then had to learn the hard way.
Let
But
me tell you, as you get older and you now have kids of your own, I have 3
yeah,
kids. I look back and I'm like, my God, man, I'm so grateful that I had good parents that just, they didn't have a lot money wise, but somehow they provided. I had clothes on my back, I had food, and I had them pushing me to be the best version of me, and I'm trying to do the same for my kids. It's I'm blessed that I had amazing parents, and I have friends that unfortunately didn't have that, and I think that to be a good human, it sort of starts at home, and my parents instilled, things in me that it pushed me.
So looking at your practice with Ariel, how did that start? And that road, because I mean, you guys are now in business for almost 18 years. Tremendously successful. I mean, I remember seeing you guys on buses before I even knew you.
It started with almost like a casual conversation. He was at the state attorney's office. I was working at a boutique firm here, and I just called him one day, and I'm like, he and I kicked, like, we just got along very well. I said, Ariel, man, it's time. And we had maybe been a year out of law school. I'm like, we got to do this. And he, that same day, I think, put his 2 weeks in with his boss. I put it in with mine, and we just went to task. And I remember it's grassroots, man. We were putting flyers on cars when we started. I was doing traffic tickets. I was doing whatever the heck I could do to make money, because we didn't have money. So it was like, just take what you can get. And it started as really a ticket clinic. That's how he and I started our injury firm, was traffic tickets.
Really?
Yeah.
So how did it morph? When did it morph into traffic tickets to personal injury, or were you at the time a door lawyer where if it comes in the door, I'm taking this case?
Look, when you open up a firm and you got to eat, you're doing whatever. You're taking whatever you can take. So we were making a large amount of clients through the traffic tickets, but we're talking, you're making $60, $70. It wasn't feasible. But I'm thinking, man, I have all these clients. How can we turn this into something else? And I have a brother who's a cop in Fort Lauderdale, and I started getting calls from him that his buddies were getting in accidents. I'm like, we got to parlay this. So it went from really, I jumped into an arena that I knew, but I wouldn't say an expert in. And then I said, I'm going to do this. We're going to do it right. And Ariel and I just became students of the game, man. And I go to, seminars, CLEs, just surround yourself with smart people, and don't be shy. I call people if I have questions. There's resources. And if your belief system is, I won't fail, and that's the way I operate, then I think that's a recipe for success.
When you mentioned that, speak to smart people, surround yourself with smart people. I mean, I've always thought of, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. Yeah. I want to be the dumbest person in the room, because I can learn from the people that are in the room rather than be the one that tries to be the teacher. I want to learn. So, I mean, do you look at it that way as well? And you want to?
Yeah, I mean, there's lawyers younger than me that have done big things that I'll reach out to, like, hey, I got a question. Or lawyers reach out to me. I'm not. At the end of the day, like, us plaintiff attorneys are in this together. There's plenty of business to go around, and there's no reason you can't lend a helping hand to someone. I keep my old boss. I speak to him all the time. I kept a good relationship with him. We talk about law, and I guess it boils down to this. You can be a good personal injury lawyer, or you can be the best personal injury lawyer. And I want to be the best. And to be the best, you got to put the time in. And that's my mindset, that I'm going to be the best at what I do. And
so I know, I mean, people don't know that there's some people, I'm not talking about lawyers, but people who watch this publicly, there's the pre-suit part, and then there's the litigation. You are a litigator. You like the fight. You like to go after the insurance. Like, you go hard. when did you decide that you were going to be that guy, that I'm going to be in a courtroom, I'm going to litigate, I'm going to bash these doors down, and I'm going to make your life miserable? Because there is a case I want to go into. I don't want you to bring it up. You know which case it's probably going to be. I don't want to go into it yet. I want to get there. But when did you make that decision? Because at first, you want to pre-suit these things when you're smaller and you don't have money, and you want to get these wrapped up quickly so you can have a war chest in the future. But talk about that.
Yeah, the irony is it sort of fell in my lap because Ariel, my partner, he was the litigator. He was the state attorney. He was trying a lot of cases. I really didn't have that much trial experience, but we practice law, but we also do other things. We own real estate. So Ariel is a business guy. He's an MBA. So that's his brain. So he started taking care of these other things. And it's either like, look, you're going to outsource these cases to another firm to do this for you, or you're going to learn to do this. And let me tell you something. I took some lumps, man. I went to trials. I was like this young lawyer. I didn't know anything. I was getting zipped. I was like, man, this is not working. I didn't like losing. So I'm like, so then I realized there's a lot of resources, right? So I started reading and finding lawyers that I wanted to emulate and mimic. A couple people I still follow. So it was just, it really fell in my lap. Ariel couldn't do it because of everything else he was doing, right? So I'm like, I'm going to learn. And I like arguing with people, so it's a perfect fit for me. Like that's in my DNA. You tell me that I'm going to get burnt, I'm still going to touch it, right? That's just the way I operate. So it fell on me, it really did. That's the reality of it.
You mentioned, you are very active on a social media space and in the making of stories and reels, almost every day. I think now there's always something that burns you, that bothers you, whether it's the $32 pizza for lunch, for a slice of pizza. There's other options, but walking in the neighborhood, or I think there was a video that you did yesterday. Was it yesterday already, or 2 days ago, on the insurance reform and how we all got burned on that one. Talk about that particular situation, because that one specifically affected the entire state. It affected both sides of the plaintiff and defense. It screwed the plaintiff, but then when everyone in plaintiff filed 25,000 complaints, then the defense was crying about it, and then all we've seen is insurance rates skyrocket. And I know. Do you feel comfortable talking about politics?
Yeah.
So you're a Republican, correct?
I am.
Okay, so a lot of plaintiff attorneys are not, for people that don't know. And from a perspective of that, I voted for DeSantis, and then he does this, and it's like all the good things that I thought he did kind of blew him up in one shot. And what are your thoughts on what he did, that decision to get a war chest for presidency, which failed, and now people in Florida are screwed?
I legitimately think anytime you have a supermajority, it's not good. I think that when you have a split House and a split Senate, there's checks and balances. They basically just steamrolled us. Overnight. I had a meeting the other day. I'm in a BOTA, which is a trial lawyer organization. It's exclusive. And I was in a meeting, and the chief judge from Broward was there. And he said, in 45 years of him practicing law, he's never seen such drastic changes that we are experiencing right now. And what spurred my post the other day is it was a Sun Sentinel story about 2 years later now, no claims are getting paid. And we knew this. Us plaintiff lawyers knew that if you don't have the pressure from a plaintiff's attorney breathing down your throat, you're going to treat people fairly. We all said this, they're not going to treat these people fairly. And lo and behold, they made us out to be the villains, that we were making all this money. And my thoughts were, if you guys were doing the right thing, I wouldn't have a job. You wouldn't need me. But now they aren't doing the right thing. And then the kicker to this all is that we were promised that your rates would go down. Our insurance rates are at an all-time high, yet lawsuits are at, from what I understand, on property at an all-time low, right? So there's clearly an issue here. And, I have ways I think it can be fixed, but at the end of the day, man, if an insurance company doesn't have checks and balances, meaning plaintiff lawyers like me that keep them in check, they're just going to take advantage of people. And that is exactly what's happening. I will not be shocked if they undo some of this. And the one thing in particular is allowing attorneys to get attorneys fees in property claims. It's crazy to me to think that an insurance company is going to treat you fairly without us. It's never, ever made sense to me. And lo and behold, I was right, because it's not working. And now there's going to be change, I think, hopefully in a good way. So it affected everyone. I mean, we didn't do my office didn't do a ton of property. I sort of limited my property, when there was natural disasters, we did it. But again, what they did to us citizens of Florida, homeowners, man, this is as bad as I've ever seen. And it's a big problem at this point.
It's wild to me because, I know people in the legislature, and they're almost, it's just odd to me because common sense tells you this is wrong. This was the bad idea. And yet the Republic in Florida, we do have a supermajority, and it's not close. It's not going to be close for quite some time. They just ran it right through.
Think about
it. And there were lawyers who were PI lawyers on that side who voted for this.
Think about this. One night you went to bed, there was a 4-year statute of limitations, okay? You woke up the next day, now we went from 4 years to 2 years. That's one issue. Let's take it a step further. Comparative negligence. What I mean by that is both parties can be at fault. Now, in the state of Florida, if the plaintiff is found more than 50% at fault, you get nothing. So the FJA went up there and said, look, if that's how it's going to be, then if the defendant is found more than 50% at fault, then they should be fully responsible. And they said, no, it ain't going to work that way. And the kicker to this all is that, from my understanding, is you cannot even tell the jury, if you find my client more than 50% at fault, they get nothing. That's the kicker to this all. I mean, at least allow us to tell the jury, what you're about to do is going to shut my client out. But we can't even do that. And it's just completely unfair. It's not fair for us. It's not fair for people who get hurt, especially when you've been operating a certain way for 50 plus 100 years, however long we were operating under that system. It was legitimately overnight we had to adjust. So we're going to adjust. At the end of the day, we can cry about it. You can complain about it. I have a rule. You can only complain and cry for so long. You got to get up and dust yourself off and move forward. And we're doing that, and we're still successful, So it sucked. It clearly sucked, but you got to move forward, and that's what we're going to do. Just hope that things get better.
I read in the newspaper, I think it was a couple of days ago, where this is being talked about again, and there are a lot of Republican legislators who said, I have to answer questions that I can't answer, and you've made us look really, really bad. And because insurance rates, I mean, I'm sure your insurance rate went up. My insurance rate went up this year about 30%. And the year before, it went up 20%. So it's almost, I moved into my house 7 years ago. Since I moved in, my insurance rate has doubled.
And I'm willing to bet you had no claims. You had no claims either.
Zero. And that's what kills me. I've had 0 claims. My rate's doubled. My car insurance rate has doubled. And I've had no claims in that 7-year period, other than come change my battery or fix my tire, but, and yet there's no explanation to these rate hikes. Now I read that they've made profit for the first time in a while for this first. Yeah, because they're not paying claims out. Look, and they're raising their rates through the roof.
Look, they were also, they're touting that, the amount of lawsuits are down. Yeah, the amount of lawsuits are down because we can't help people because we can't get paid. Imagine this. I want to run a scenario by you. You have a claim for a roof on your house, okay?
Yes.
Your roof is $70,000. Insurance company jerks you around, okay? Now, you can bring me into this case. I can't get attorney's fees from the insurance company. How I get paid is from you. So I get you your $70,000, and now you're going to lose 40% of that to me. How are you going to get your roof done? Where is the checks and balances? I mean, look, in California with all these wildfires, you hear these stories that a month or two ago, State Farm canceled 30,000 policies overnight. I'm understanding that half the people involved here in these fires don't have any homeowners insurance. I mean, insurance companies always make money. Anyone tells you they don't make money, that's crock. They make money. They're never not going to make money. And what I think in Florida, this is my opinion, they mismanaged the insurance fund. It's been mismanaged forever because there's no oversight. and now they can't hide. They promised all this stuff. Rates are going to down. They're going to take care of you. They're going to be fair. We all knew that wasn't going to happen, and here we are. So the question is, what do they do now? You know, and I voted for Ron.
Yeah.
And I can sit here and tell you right now, I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all with my choice, and I'm a big boy, so I can say when I made a poor decision. Right? I made a poor decision. You know, I think there's things that he's done well and good for this state. I think COVID and look, COVID was a scary time for everybody. And I just think about it and I'm like, man, if they would have shut us down completely, I got 20 plus mouths to feed at this office. You know, I don't know how we would have been able to do it. And so that I think was an okay thing, but nothing's perfect, man. You're never ever going to be absolutely happy with whoever it is that's running the show. You're just not. You just hope that the good outweighs the bad.
I mentioned the traveling because I know you start doing videos of the worst cities or worst towns in the country to visit. That was the levity part. Was as Rob was traveling doing this work in this case that I know, he's posted these videos about I will never live here. How the heck can anybody ever live here? So what city? What brought that? And what's number one?
I wanted to sort of document the journey, honestly, because there was a lot going on. I mean, the worst of the places I think was Iowa, man. I'm a Jew, and I didn't see a synagogue in the whole entire state of Iowa. There just wasn't nothing going on. I just remember walking because I had some time to kill, and you're like in the Stone Age. Like I literally thought I was in another planet. So Iowa. Iowa's not a place I'm going back to. Those people.
What city? Des Moines or Iowa City?
Des Moines. They're good. The people there are super friendly. You almost feel like, because living in Florida, you almost feel like they're mocking you how nice they were. So I just decided, look, I'm going to document this journey because it was a journey and it was an experience that I don't think a lot of lawyers ever get the opportunity to handle something of that magnitude. So I said, I'm going to document it, and I'm going to try to make, I guess, light of a really bad situation. So, I was in Dallas International. I'm a big Eagles fan, and I'm surrounded by the Cowboys gear, and I'm like walking through the place going, this is the worst place on earth, because I'm an Eagles fan. So I just, look, life is short. So you don't always have to be in a situation where you're like uptight, stressed, miserable. Like it was a serious case, but I took it serious, but I still wanted to not say enjoy the process, but I really wanted to be a part of every aspect of the process. And so I documented it, and I documented my travels, and people liked it. So
no, it was great. I mean, I watched every video. I watch all your stuff. I mean, because you post a lot of stuff you're very similar to me in nature. It's like we're kind of out there, and we say it with our chest, and there's no filter, really. My
grandmother used to tell me that what's on my lung is on my tongue. I say what people think, right? There's people that think things that they don't want to say. Look, I'm not controversial. I don't have enemies, but I'm going to say what's on my mind. If I got something to say, I'm going on social media and you're going to hear me roar. And some people hate it and some people like it. I posted a video the other day. There was I
love it.
200,000 people viewed it. And I was getting, surprisingly, because it was about the wildfires, I got a ton of people supporting me, and I thought they were going to be haters all over. There were some, but majority of the people were like, "You're right, because I was ripping the celebrities that vote for.
Well, they're all fake. They're all fake.
They tell you how to vote, who to vote for, what to vote for. I'm like, stick to making movies, man. I don't care what you think. I don't care what my quarterback is voting for. I care about you winning games, right? So I just feel like people step into an arena that they don't need to. We want to watch movies. We don't care what you think about politics, right? So it was just to point out the hypocrisy in Hollywood, and a lot of people saw it and viewed it and liked it. So that's the kind of stuff I do.
I mean, it's true, because a lot of those celebrities will walk around and, say one thing, and they're probably voting a different direction because of their financial resource, number one. But number two, I'm not. My cousin lives in Sherman Oaks, and she had to evacuate for a little bit. And my CEO for Synergy lives in Calabasas. The fire got into his community. Thankfully, the firefighters were able to blow it off and get it away. And then we have a representative who lives out in the Studio City area. So I have 3 people that I know that live right in the middle of that. And then you hear these celebrities who were always talking one way, and now they're oh, this guy's terrible. Well, you kind of knew he was already,
Look, when
referring to Gavin Newsom. I mean, because and the mayor who cut 17 million off of the firefighter budget, like the one city that you can't cut or state you can't cut firefighter budget is California. And I mean, it's a history of, and then history of wildfires. And so I agreed with your video because they all jump up and now they're all smacking their hand on the table and
because it's affecting them, and that,
yeah.
like when you vote for someone or something, I hope you educate yourself. I hope you know what it is they're standing for. And if the platform was we're going to defund the police, we're going to defund the fire, that's fine. Look, I got plenty of friends who are Democrats. I get along.
Yeah.
We get all we can have, fine. But if you vote for that and then that happens, and then you come out of the woodwork after your house gets burnt to the ground, where were you before your house got burnt to the ground? Why weren't you up in arms? Look, in my mind, it's never a good thing to take money away from the fire department.
Never.
Especially in a state that's got wildfires, a state that's got issues. Like, I don't know how you come to that conclusion, but they did. And unfortunately, a lot of people are suffering. It's sad. It is really, really sad that a lot of hardworking people who, look, they don't have the same political views as me. Doesn't mean that I can't feel terrible for them. Like, I'm not a bad human, right? So it's hypocrisy, and I'm tired of it. I'll call it out all day long. And if I'm call me out.
Did you hear James Woods?
Yeah.
In his comments?
Yeah.
His house was still there.
Yeah.
Like the one house that was still there. It's wild.
Yep.
I want to jump back into that case because from that case you started a cigar company with the father.
We did.
And your brother, who you mentioned is a police officer. Yeah. How did your brother end up down here? Because your family still lives in Jersey, right?
So my dad's down here now. My mom, when my parents moved here, my mom passed away. I think it's 12 years now. I was about 30. So they were only down here a short time. So my dad's down here. My brother's down here. My brother's a cop. During that case, I knew that the father was a cigar maker, and I got my brother some cigars, and he really liked them. And he wasn't making cigars anymore because he was dealing with what he was dealing with. And my brother's like, hey, I got an idea. And my brother doesn't ask me for anything. Like, he's just like, doesn't. And he's like, do you think you can get a conversation started about us doing a cigar venture? I'm like, yeah. And I sat down, and next thing you know, the cigar company was born. And we're selling very, very good cigars. I think you came to the event that we threw. So, look, man, I'm a lawyer. That's number one. This is my brother's baby. I sort of do what I do. I help with social media. But look, venture out, right? Who knows what 10 years is going to bring us with law? Because all these changes are not good. Like, you're not hearing people say, I love the changes that they're making. Even both sides of the aisle, the defense lawyers are overwhelmed too. So it's like, you can't have all your eggs in one basket. So that's, it was like sort of like a venture that I was interested in. I like cigars, and my brother is doing what he's doing. He's helping us sell cigars. So
how did you're older or younger?
He's 3 years older than me, but the ongoing joke is I look 5 years older than him, but I don't know how. I guess my Botox isn't working. I don't know.
I guess we all need it, right? Was my camera does my lighting blur it out? Good.
You look good.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. So, your brother's a police officer. What brought him there? And I mean, because and what brought you
The irony of all of this is because he's a police officer in Fort Lauderdale, and I was doing a lot of work in Fort Lauderdale. So originally, Ariel and I were doing criminal work, and I was getting cases that officers I knew were and I'm like, this is not working. I'm like, I can't be deposed.
Wait. They were arresting them and then referring you to them?
No, not referring me to them. I would get a case and I'd see who the arresting officer was.
Oh, they're all your friends, the people you know.
So I just said, you know what, man, we got to figure out a different way here. And then I'm like, man, these guys are getting in accidents. Who's representing them? And they started. One guy came to me. We got a good result. And then once you start getting into that pipeline, it sort of spreads. People talk and people know who to go to. There's only a couple of us that I know in the area that are really handling those types of cases with the police. It was just something I sort of fell into because of my brother. So thank God for him.
So you're doing cases in which police officers get into car accidents?
Police accidents on duty, we can represent them. People don't realize that you can put uninsured motorists on your vehicle, cover you while you're in a police car.
Okay.
So yeah, these guys are professional drivers. They probably have more accidents than the average Joe. So we do a lot of work with the police.
Has your brother ever pulled you over as a joke?
No, but I've gotten pulled over by his agency before.
Did you ever? What did you say? Can you call somebody?
I
Phone a
mean,
friend?
sometimes
Phone
they
a
know who
friend?
you are. Sometimes they don't care. I've been on both sides of it. Look, you're going to do whatever you got to do to get out of the ticket, right? So you're going to name drop. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But I'm always going to be respectful, whether they ticket me or not. Like there's just pick your battles.
You're not invited to the Christmas party, damn it.
Usually not.
If they give you a ticket, you lose the invitation to the Christmas party.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna jump into this real, because we are in the heart of it. It is the NFL playoffs. You are a rabid Eagles fan, a rabid Sixers fan, rabid Phillies fan. You don't talk Flyers all that much, but I'm sure you're a rabid Flyers fan too. Talk about your Eagles and
The Flyers have sucked, so it's really hard to like be a fan and like be vocal when your team utterly stinks. Philly's a football town. Like it's a football town. I mean, my dad is 70. He'll be 78, and when we won the Super Bowl in 2017, imagine following some team for almost 70 years and they never won it. So like when people do not realize it, like I get all my friends who are Miami fans because like the Heat won all those championships and you get spoiled. Winning a Super Bowl, like, and I joke with you that I don't think you were around when the 72 Dolphins won the Super Bowl.
I was not. I'm 47, and they've been to 2 Super Bowls, but they haven't won a playoff game since I was in college.
That experience is like, it was, honestly, I don't care if the Eagles suck for the rest of my life.
They won a Super Bowl.
And I feel like we're gearing up for another run this year, so we'll see. But I'm a big sports guy.
I have never had the pleasure of watching the Dolphins win a Super Bowl, and I don't think I ever will with this incompetent level of management that the Dolphins have.
I think you guys will look. You got some pieces. You got Tyreek needs to stay, or you're gonna.
He's leaving. He's leaving. If we stick with $55 million broken down Tua, I mean, then we're never gonna win.
Look, but if you overall take the total picture, you had a very competitive basketball team for the last however many years. Your hockey team just won the Stanley Cup last year.
That was enjoyable. That was very enjoyable. I will say.
You, all in all, I mean, you can't be unhappy if you're
but people from South Florida, they could say that they're a Panthers fan, a Heat fan, or even a Marlins fan. If the Dolphins won the Super Bowl, the South Florida would shut down. It would shut down.
Well, look, I think they said there was 2-3 million people for the parade when the Eagles won. I flew up for the parade when we won the Super Bowl, and the weather was bad, and they pushed it to the next day, and I was set for trial, and I had to fly back. I didn't get to go to the parade, even though I was up there and flew in for it. I had to fly back because of obligations to my clients, so I didn't even get to go to the parade after they moved it on me. So
that might have gotten a phone call to the judge saying, "Can we push it back a day?"
Look, man, I was in front of a judge the other day who said to me, "If your kid was graduating, I wouldn't give you a continuance." I mean, this is what we're dealing with. It's craziness.
Okay, you want to out that judge here? No, you ain't gonna do
that. I think people might know who I'm talking about, but that was what was said to me.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. When the Miami Dolphins won the Super Bowl, I'm telling you, like, you can multiply whatever you had at the Miami Heat parades, which were in the hundreds of thousands. I think there was 1 million people at one of them. It would be multiplied times 5, 3 to 5. I mean, the place would shut down. They'd have to start the parade in Aventura and go all the way to freaking Kendall.
As much as I rag on you guys as fans, there's a lot of you that are very loyal. I know you're a big.
I'm a big fan, but I'm pissed off too.
I just sort of like to needle people, and I post comments that just irritate you and get you to talk back. So, but I think you guys will get there. It'll happen.
You're big into fights. You're big into MMA as well, and UFC like me. I mean, did you ever train in any of that stuff?
No, I wrestled. Never, I rolled around on jiu-jitsu, but never took it up. I just like combat, man. I like competition, and like I joke because I'm older now and things are falling apart. My competition is trial, honestly. Like, my wife plays pickleball. I love trial. To me, that's where, I get like, and it's like, I get stressed I get nerves. And I said to my wife, if I start losing that, I'm done trying cases. To this day, I'm getting ready to pick a jury. It's like, you know, if you don't have that pit in your stomach, I don't know, man. I don't think your heart is into it. It's sometimes when things become real violent.
When you're driving to trial or driving to court and you have a trial, or when you're in the room before, back in the day, if you played sports in high school, like you had your headphones on, you had some music. Do you do that? Where you're like getting in a zone or something like that?
Who I listen to?
Huh?
You know who I listen to?
Yeah.
Adele.
That's a clip, right?
Gets me in the right space. Yeah, I put Adele on in the car, and she gets me in the right space.
What does she say that gets you ready, Rob? What does she say?
She's got an amazing voice. I happen to like Adele. I think she's a good human, and her songs. I mean, she's one of the best female artists there is. So like, it's nothing. It's just I don't know. I know the words, you know. So I was like, easy to follow. But Adele, man, Adele, and then I'll also sometimes put on "Unstoppable" by Sia. That one also is one of my anthems. But yeah, and again, I'm not like a big music guy. I don't go to concerts. I'm a homebody, candidly.
I mean, you mentioned multiple times a lion and Hear Me Roar, and I'm thinking Taylor Swift stuff right there, and Hear Me Roar.
Nah, you know, Adele. People laugh. I'm like Adele. That's what I listen to. I don't care. Windows down, blasting Adele. Yeah,
that's wild. So I know you're also in a number of other ventures. You have a sandwich restaurant. You guys are involved in real estate. You and Ariel. The restaurant's in Fort Myers, right?
We have a sandwich shop in Fort Myers. We also have in Wynwood we own, and we have a business. We don't have anything to do with the actual operation of the business, but we have a building there that they're running I guess a club / restaurant.
That was the pictures that were posted a few days ago. I saw like a week ago. I think Ariel posted some stuff.
Probably, yeah. They remodeled it. It's a beautiful place. So if you want to check out Wynwood, it used to be Pilos, Pilos. I think it's Luna now. They just changed names.
Okay.
It's a beautiful building, man, and a really good venue. So if you want to check it out.
Okay. So what is the perfect? I mean, we all know what the perfect case is for anybody. It's the one with $100 million in coverage and 100, not really 100 million. I mean, obviously the worse, the more that it is, the worse the injuries are for an individual. So that's not what we'd ever wish for. But what are the cases that you specialize in? I mean, obviously automobile accidents, but is there something specific within the areas that you look at? Because like, you know, whether it's negligent security situation or med mal or trucking or something like that.
I mean, look, catastrophic injuries. I would tell you, we do a ton of like slip and falls. We do a ton of car accidents. Right now, I have a case involving a gentleman that was like about 130 feet in a crane that toppled over, that has catastrophic injuries. I like cases that challenge me as a lawyer, right? Because a rear end collision, it's not so challenging, right? It's like, get your doctor, see what's going on. But when you got a construction accident, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things going on, and it really challenges you as a lawyer. And the other thing is they're expensive, right? So you got to have the means to finance these cases. So, and that's why a lot of law firms will send cases like that to us, because they either A, aren't in a position to finance it, B, maybe they don't really understand the area of the law so well. I mean, there's firms that have like a niche. I don't say like per se we have a niche, but anything catastrophic, I can handle it. It doesn't matter. And that's, you know, what we do. But this, construction accidents are a big part of our practice. We've had a few of those. But slip and falls and car accidents, big injuries generally.
We both have had children lately. Probably older than we should, for our own physical body well-being, lack of sleep, and all those things. I mean, I have a 7-month-old. You're married. You've had 3 kids since you were 40, I believe it was,
and we lost one.
I know, and I know you had one that you lost. I don't. Was it at birth or
the 34 or 35 weeks? I mean that. You don't.
That would have been the second, right?
That would have been my second. I mean, you don't wish that on an enemy. What we went through, seeing my wife when we were leaving the hospital, like, just like gutted me, you know. And like, he's buried next to my mom, so at the end of the day, like, I go see my mom, I go see him. I just can't imagine. And that's what I was saying. Like, when you represent people who have kids, that get, like, I could not imagine, like I don't have the memories. My child passed away at 34 weeks, in the womb. I don't have memories because I just can't imagine having a child 10, 15, 20, and then boom, here today, gone tomorrow. And like, you're left holding the bag. Like what do we do? And there's just so many lawyers, I hate to say it, that just don't care about people. All they care about is money. And I've never, ever, ever put money before doing the right thing. I've in fact sacrificed money to do the right thing for somebody because I just try to be a good human. Like, and we already have a stigma. Like personal injury lawyers, the stigma is not a good one, right? People don't generally like us. When I'm doing jury selection, you talk about usually the things people say. Like I have so many funny stories of like jurors just going off. Like you ask them about something, you're like, oh wow, you really feel that way? So they don't like us. So like, what can you do to change that? And to me, it's be a good person and be available and be present. And like sometimes that requires me answering my phone at 7 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock on a Sunday. And and I have kids, so I try to be present for your kids. You try to be present for your client. It's a juggling act, right? So, but we manage.
How did you guys deal with that? I mean, you're 46 right now.
No, aging me. I look 46. I'll be 44. I'll be 44.
Oh, 40. Okay, my mistake. It wasn't the age. I thought you were I thought you were almost the same age. I'm 47. That's why I asked. What did you guys? How did you deal with that situation? I mean, I can never imagine. So I'm like, what? Because you still have to continue to work.
Yeah.
How do you compartmentalize this and deal with? Because that's a massive trauma, and your wife, obviously, I'm sure, was inconsolable. And
it was look, losing my mom. I have experiences, especially at a young age, a lot of people don't have, and I think people are wired differently. I had to be present for her. I had to be present for my other son. It was just. I don't even know how to describe the feelings. It was just the worst experience of my life. Just one day baby's kicking and the next minute he's not, right? And you just get, the punches keep going. You get to the hospital and they break this terrible news to you. And then I'm sitting there for 2 days in a hospital listening to babies being born all around me. And I knew that we weren't going to have that. So it's like, look, again, you got two options, right? You can sit there and feel sorry for yourself for however long you want to, or you pick yourself up, right? And I said to myself, what would he want? Would he want me to feel sorry for myself for the duration, or does he want me to pick my ass up? And I picked my ass up. And my wife, the funny thing is, if there was anything funny that came of it, the doctor said to us, don't have any more kids for 6 months because she needs to recover, this, that, and the other. 6 weeks later, she got pregnant. We walked into the doctor's office and he thought we were two psychopaths. But honestly, it was the only way her and I could heal. Like we needed to have that rainbow baby. It wasn't going to be in 6 months. Like God's plan was it's going to happen now. But we also knew then that like, okay, she got pregnant too soon. Is she going to be able to go through this whole pregnancy? You don't know, right? You don't know, but you just roll with the punches. But for us, it was, we have to have another baby or we're just going to be in a position that we weren't going to get over it. Right. So not that you ever get over it. Right.
No,
but
of course.
You just sort of, you move forward. I mean, you got to move forward. And unfortunately, it's not an easy thing for people. That's why we have a lot of mental health issues in this country. There's not a lot of resources, I think, for certain people like that are going through situations like that. I didn't realize until it happened to us, like how many other people I knew it happened to that maybe didn't really talk about it. Right. I think it's more, people are more open to talk about it now. I don't think this conversation we're having, like people necessarily would have had 10 years ago. It's sad. It makes me sad. But, at the end of the day, I got 3 beautiful boys, man. I got 3 kids and I got a beautiful wife and I got a partner that, he and I are ride or die, so at the end of the day, it's like God has blessed me in a lot of other ways.
So you had to have a second, then you had to have a third, right?
I had the second, and then the third sort of came as a surprise because I told my wife, I'm like, I don't want any more kids. I was, I'm in my 40s. I'm like, work like die. So she woke me up one morning with the old tapped me on the shoulder with a pregnancy test, and I looked at her like no way. And Joey was born. Here we go.
And how old is your last one?
Joey's going to be 6 months on.
Yeah, you had yours right after I did. Yeah, you had your last. Yeah. How has that been going?
Honestly, man, I love it. I love being a dad. I wish that I wasn't so busy with work,
Hmm.
so I could be a little more present. But I love it, man. I just think some people are built for that. Like that was I always wanted to be a dad, and I didn't
Yeah.
know, candidly, if I was ever going to be a dad because I had some health issues. I had a lot of stuff going on. Fertility treatment, a whole bunch of stuff. And I wasn't sure I was going to be a dad, and all your friends around you were having kids, and you're like the uncle. I was the uncle to everyone. Like it didn't matter, Uncle Rob. So and here I am now, 3, and I'm blessed. I really am. I'm like,
So there's 6 months, or about to be 6 months. My wife's birthday is July 21st, by the way.
so day
So
before, yeah, July
yeah,
20th. So I
yeah.
got a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a soon to be 6-month-old.
I got a 7-month-old, and I'm exhausted.
It's hard, man. I'm
I'm
lucky. My
exhausted.
wife does an amazing job with the kids. She's up at night with them. I do my part. I try to do as much as I can do, but it's hard. It's a struggle because you're
Mhm.
juggling, right? There's only one of you, so it's
Yeah,
like you work too, so you got
yeah.
to find that balance, right? So
Has anyone made a joke and bought your child or any one of your sons any Cowboys gear?
I had not just that, I had a client come here and delivered me this was like 3 years ago when the Dolphins beat the Eagles. He
Uh-huh.
came here and brought me a cake, a Dolphins cake. My friends think they're funny. They'll do stupid stuff like that. Yeah, you get that. You get that.
I mean, I've told people that if you ever buy my son a Red Sox shirt or something, I'm gonna smack you. We're not
People don't
friends. I
realize,
won't
like,
mess with you. I won't mess like those are jokes that I cannot take. Those are sensitive topics for me. You better not ever buy my son a Red Sox t-shirt. I don't want to see that crap. I'm really anything else, I don't really care. Even with the Hurricanes, I'm a huge Hurricanes fan, but my kids end up being, they're Canes fans right now, but if they end up a Gator or a Seminole because they go to school there and they decide they want to cheer for them. Because I went to Florida State for a year and a half, still a Canes fan,
I will
and
tell you this: I look forward to your posts. I don't even need to watch the Canes game. I'm getting play-by-play with you. Like it is like I will write things to bust your chops, and
yeah,
you take it in stride. You'll throw it back at me. That's like you can have
uh-huh,
fun banter with people. It doesn't need to be like
yeah.
So again, I don't cheer against you guys. I live here, right? I'm not gonna. If you guys win a championship, I'll be happy for you.
I need to bring you to a Canes game next year because I got tickets in the box because it's it's at your level, so you don't be sitting in the hot sun with the where
I
you're
cheered for
sweaty.
them this year.
Huh?
One of my best friends is a diehard Canes, and I said this year I'm going to cheer for them, and I did. But
Uh-huh.
man, that's so. I mean, it's like so frustrating, and I'm not like I was in my first year, like getting
Yeah.
into them, and I'm like, man,
No,
you guys.
Miami's difficult. I mean, I'm a Miami fan, and it's very difficult for me as a Miami fan because I think a lot of Miami fans in general, Miami Heat, Miami Dolphins, Miami Hurricanes, whatever, they're not the most. I think Panthers fans are actually know that they don't really know hockey because people down here don't really know hockey,
That's
but
true.
they enjoy it and they're having a good time.
Fun
Whereas
place to be.
yeah,
It's
yeah, and hockey players are fun-loving guys. It seems like comparatively, whereas you deal with Hurricanes fans, they always think the Canes are going to go 13-0 at 12-0. It's ridiculous. The Heat fans swear by Pat Riley. He can do nothing wrong, even though he's completely botched the situations with three superstars.
I think he's all right with the Butler situation. I got to defend him on the Butler situation. I mean, this guy's going to make $53 million
I
next
don't
year.
care about money. What does it matter what money he's making? If you ever, bro, you have pride. If you had a boss, well, you don't. You are the boss. But if you had a boss and you were the best performer on your team at your firm, and your boss went publicly in front of the media and told the world, Rob needs to shut the f up, how would you take it? And that's where it all started from.
I mean,
And
look,
then he asked to speak to him in private, and Riley wouldn't give him that respect and courtesy.
but
And that's
if you look at the whole picture of Jimmy Butler, he's had a problem everywhere he went. He had a problem in Chicago. He had a problem in Philly. He's got a problem now in
well,
Miami.
what was it? He didn't have a problem in Philly. They chose Tobias Harris over him. He wanted to stay in Philly.
There
He
was a
told JJ Redick that.
there was a personality issue. Like Jimmy Butler is
So
almost reminds me a little bit about the point guard in Dallas, Kyrie Irving. Like these guys are like in their own little world. Like Kyrie Irving to me, and I've always said this, he seems like the most miserable human being
Oh,
on
he
earth.
seems miserable. But
He's worth
Butler,
God knows what. How
but
much money do these guys have?
Jimmy Butler to Kyrie though. Kyrie's always been blessed with immense talent. Jimmy Butler wasn't that guy. Jimmy Butler has the grinded from the bottom, from the gutter, and he has a fight for everything he ever got. He loved playing with Joel Embiid. I was praying that the Heat would trade Bam Adebayo for Joel Embiid, quite frankly, because I
Man.
thought he was cool. He was cool being a second guy to Joel
Yeah.
Embiid. But they chose Tobias Harris and pay them at 100 and whatever, $80 million. He was awful.
We
You know, Ben Simmons you had for, I mean, that head case. You know, but
the Sixers stink. Our management is terrible.
they brought Paul George, and I thought Paul George was a cream puff. So it's like, as a Heat season ticket holder, it bothers me that you treat stars like this, because they did it to Dwayne Wade, he did it to LeBron, he did it to Shaq. So maybe it's not always those guys, even if they have a history. Maybe it's Pat Riley has a massive ego because he never won a championship with the 2004 Detroit Pistons roster. He always needed 3, 4, 5 superstars on his team. But Jimmy Butler's supposed to carry dead weight to championships, which is what I call it. It's dead weight. That's just my feeling.
I think we also operate in another world now. Like no one honors contracts. Like at the end of the day, these players aren't happy. They bitch, they moan, they do something, they get traded. College football, to me, that transfer portal and NIL, I don't even like it because you can't even you can't build your team. Like
no, you can't.
Still enjoy watching your freshman turn into an amazing senior. You guys lost your quarterback, and the next thing you know, you're spending $4 million on a guy. He's making more, I saw, than like half the damn quarterbacks in the NFL.
And I don't think that. I think that's made up. By the way, I don't believe he's making $4 million. He's making money. He's making money, but I don't think $4 million.
I don't know if you can lie about that stuff. I mean, that's what they're saying. $4 million. So, like, if Miami, for instance, to my understanding, the NIL, there's an unlimited amount of money.
No, it's unlimited, but I just don't see how he's worth that. He better win a championship for $4 million. I mean, I think Carson Beck is good.
Yeah, but he's not.
I think he's really good, but I'm not. None of these guys are worth that money in college. Like, it's ridiculous. And
$1 million. I mean,
I think the biggest problem that we have today with the professional basketball players that we see how much they're making, and we just automatically say he's making $50 million. Shut the hell up and play. But that's no different than what people said, the shut up and dribble type thing. It's like, it's funny because when LeBron talks about political stuff, he can say whatever he wants. How can you say shut up and dribble? Whereas Jimmy Butler's mad because his owner is disrespecting him, or his president is disrespecting him publicly. Shut up and play. They're in a contract.
The two guys that are controversial that to me are spot on, though, Shaq and Charles Barkley, they say it all the time. They're like, look, people like me, or people like just blue collar people, so you spend a lot of money to go to a sporting event.
Absolutely.
And then you get there and your star players on a rest day.
I agree with you. I hate that.
Barkley played, doesn't matter. Shaq played through every injury. I mean, we have become, to me, so soft. Soft. They got to have days off. Come on, man. With technology we have now, with cold plunging and the treatments, like, you don't need a day off. You're making $50 million a year.
A day off from what? They only play 3 times a week. That's what I find silly. They play max 4 times in a week.
Embiid won't play back-to-backs.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And you pay money to go. You buy your tickets in the beginning of the year, so you don't know, like, when you go who's playing and who's not.
Oh, I tried to cancel my Heat tickets for next year. They won't let me. They say I'm stuck in a 3-year contract. Shouldn't my contract have a loophole that says if you decide to automatically suck, that I can get out of this crap?
You guys will always be competitive, so you'll always be competitive.
It's something. But tell people where they can find you. I mean, whether you're social media, obviously your phone number.
The easiest way is my website, Saban and Solomon, sslegalfirm.com. I'm very accessible on social media. I'm out there. Look, man, if you want a lawyer, I will never promise anyone anything. The only thing I ever promise you is I'm gonna work my ass off. I'm gonna fight like hell for you. I'm gonna do everything I can do to get you every dollar you deserve, right? And that, I mean it. I mean what I say. I mean, you just ask around, you look at our reviews, you talk to people who've used us. There's doctors in our industry that will send people to me, just family members, because they trust that we do good work, that we do the right thing. And unfortunately, look, there's a lot of good lawyers. I have a lot of friends that are badasses. But there's a lot of people who have really hurt our industry too, by not doing the right things. You read these like bar journals, people losing their license or just doing dumb stuff. It's like, man, you worked your whole life to get this license. Like, I treat it like gold, so.
Yeah, I agree. Also, folks, I have worked with Rob on cases. As you know, I'm the vice president of strategic partnership with Synergy. I work directly with Rob and Ariel and the other attorneys in the office, Rich, Mark, etc. And I appreciate the opportunity to work with these guys. They are top notch in the field. How many people do you have in your office now? You have what, 5
We
lawyers
have
and
9 lawyers.
9?
Nine, and
Holy
then
Lord.
yeah, we got a lot of support staff. I mean, look, because we're very heavy, like a heavy litigation firm. So we
Hmm.
also not just do our litigation, we do it for other law firms. So there's law
Yeah.
firms that we have synergies with. I don't want to work with everyone, honestly. There's just some
Yeah.
people you feel comfortable with, and there's others you just can't get along with. So
Of course.
we've selectively chosen the people we want to work with, and that's another thing that I do is litigate for other people, and I treat their clients like my clients. That's important also, right? Because they're entrusting you with their
Yes.
clients. So you always gotta it's important to do the right thing. Like, do the right thing, and sometimes that is putting your interests on the side, right?
Hmm.
And people have a hard time doing that. Greed is a root to all evil, I believe. So just be a good person, honestly.
I appreciate you, Rob. Everyone, I am going to post all of Rob's information and the firm's information in the description. I greatly appreciate you jumping on with me today, Rob. It's been a blast. Let everyone know who you are, not just this Instagram lunatic who's mad about $32 slices of pizza. That video I'll never forget. The lunch, I went to get lunch and
Oh, yeah.
I feel you on that.
I call it as I see it, man. I call balls and strikes. That's it.
Dude, I was across street from the courthouse yesterday. It was $7 for a slice of pizza. What in the world is going on here?
We were at a food truck the other day. I got my kids, not even kidding you, small cup of soft serve with sprinkles. We call them Jimmy's in New Jersey, by the way. But with sprinkles, $10. I'm like, what? $10 on a food truck
For ice cream.
Ice cream. Need a mortgage to buy your kids dessert.
I have one quick question before we go. Where in Jersey are you from? Is that why you're Philly? Because you're closer to Philly
South
than you are to
Philly.
New York?
I'm like 10 minutes outside of Philadelphia. My dad grew up in South Philly. He's a South Philly boy.
Okay.
So that's just the roots, man. He was the only Jew in an Italian neighborhood.
Is that Fresh Prince thing, West Philadelphia? Is that real?
West Philadelphia is not a good area. Stay clear.
So the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is the truth.
Yeah, it is the truth. Stay clear of that area.
All right, Rob, man, I greatly appreciate you, man.
Rudy,
I thank you so much,
it.
folks. This is Legal Legends Podcast. I have a legal legend with me again, Rob Solomon. Please do like the video, subscribe, and definitely visit Rob's website. And if you ever have any needs, and he covers the state of Florida, I know you have offices in multiple places. You cover outside of Florida as well?
Well, I'm licensed in Jersey. My partner's licensed in New York, and we're both licensed in DC.
So if you guys are have cases in DC, New York, Jersey, they can help you there as well. Appreciate you, Rob.
Thank you,
This
Rudy.
is Legal Legends. This is Legal Legends Podcast. We are out.